Well, 4 days on, and the anger over that decision, that crazy decision to hand Daniel Andrews the nation's highest honour, is still being met with outrage. There was a poll again in the Herald Sun this afternoon that shows 96% of people who bothered to reciprocate that poll said that he should not have been awarded that award. In Victoria, you only have to talk on Talkback Radio to realise the anger is palpable, let alone how the rest of the country has reacted. Well, if you're like me, you're as baffled by this decision to recognise Dan Andrews as I am. There's now something you can actually do. There's a petition that was launched yesterday to strip Daniel Andrews of what is a virtual knighthood. You know, Sir Daniel Andrews. Joining me now to discuss is the man who's launched this petition, Victorian Nationals Leader Peter Walsh. Peter, good to see you again. What prompted the idea of the petition?
Good evening, Steve. So, as your introduction said, a lot of people very unhappy. We want this petition is to petition the Governor-General to actually withdraw that award. So, yes, we can all vent, but we need actually an action, which is why we've done what we've done. A litany of broken promises, deception as a Premier for a decade, and we don't believe he deserves that particular award. Started with, you know, when he first got elected, he spent $1.3 billion not to build a road, and so on.
I called it on Monday pathetic. I think I was being rather kind. Can the petition actually achieve anything? I mean, if you got enough signatories to the petition, would the Governor-General have to take any notice?
Well, he doesn't have to, but if there is enough people sign it, I believe it would be his role to actually make sure he does take some notice. There has been people in the past who have done things wrong that have had their awards taken away. I don't think there was enough scrutiny put to this particular case. If you look at people that normally get these awards, it's a 2, 3, 4 year process. This was done in less than 12 months. That, to me, smacks of political interference to make sure it was put through quickly. As I was saying before, if you go through his career, it's broken promise after broken promise. There was to be no new taxes and increased charges here in Victoria. We now have 55 new taxes and increased charges. Half of those are on property, which is one of the reasons we have a housing crisis and a rental crisis in Victoria. And the most recent example would be the Commonwealth Games, effectively a hoax before the 22 election to say that regional Victoria was going to benefit from having the Commonwealth Games in the regions, and post-election that's gone. So why would someone like former Premier Andrews get an award for deceiving Victorians and leaving us in a huge debt hole that will take generations to pay off?
The citation, Peter, mentioned health policies, which is pretty ironic given that, you know, Victorians were locked up for 262 days, but the number of people who died, the failed hotel quarantine scheme, over 800 deaths. And Daniel Andrews appeared before an so-called inquiry, and he told that inquiry he couldn't remember who made the decision to hire the security firm that was put in charge of hotel quarantine. How the hell can you have a citation mentioning health policies and hand out the highest award that you can get in Australia as a civilian?
Well, and I watched that, the Coates inquiry, Steve, and I think from memory, the Premier said 27 times that he couldn't recall. You don't have the roles he's had through his time in politics and not be able to remember what you've done. I think that was just a sham inquiry in reality. And as far as the health system goes, with the debt the government here in Victoria has, they're cutting funding to health. And as a regional MP, we are staring down the barrel of huge cuts in regional health, where people will have to drive for 2 hours to get health services in the future because they're going to merge hospitals, cut services in regional Victoria, all because they haven't managed the economy well and they just cannot manage money. And they certainly haven't been able to manage the major projects in here in Victoria that have blown out by something like $40 billion. That is enough to spend $1 million on every kilometre of highway in Victoria and still have $17 billion left over to fix the health mess.